Hi again, YouTube. It's that one guy in lit class. And today I'm going to talk about the birth of what we now consider modern drama. And I'm going to do this by talking about the most famous playwright you've probably never heard of, Henrik Ibsen. Ibsen was born in Norway in 1828 to a well-off merchant family. However, when he was around 7, his father lost most of the family money in a series of bad deals, and the family was reduced to near poverty. Ibsen's father became a bitter drunk, but his mother by all accounts was both kind and beautiful, and having seen the stress that a bankruptcy puts on a family, Ibsen's parents and their financial circumstances would become inspirations for a number of his plays over the years. Ibsen wrote, directed, and produced plays for almost 20 years before getting his first big break, which came in the form of the verse play Brand, which centers on a priest whose religious fervor borders on zealotry. This was followed by his second and last verse play, Per Gynt, which follows the titular character on various adventures, many of which are retold versions of Norwegian folktales. Incidentally, if you've ever heard the famous Edvard Grieg piece in the Hall of the Mountain King, or the fantastic Apocalyptica cover of the same, links in the description, that music was composed as part of the score for Per Gynt. Ibsen would go on to make a name for himself both in Norway and abroad, and one of the main reasons for this is his portrayal of characters, particularly female characters, as complex people struggling with inner turmoil. Many of his most famous plays caused a great deal of controversy when they were first produced. In his play A Doll's House, for example, the female protagonist, Nora, decides to leave her husband and children in order to have a chance at finding herself. Feeling that she has been treated like a doll, passed down from a controlling father to a controlling husband, the play famously ends with a slamming door, Nora having just walked out into a Norwegian blizzard, rather than spend another minute with the man she has come to so deeply resent. Not satisfied with the scandal caused by A Doll's House, Ibsen's next play, Ghosts, centers around a well-to-do family in which a mother watches her son succumb to the degenerative effects of syphilis, a disease the son has inherited from his philandering father. In a time when venereal disease was simply not spoken of in polite company, Ghosts caused an uproar among critics. Most of Ibsen's plays are examinations of the inner workings of family lives, and this included the not-so-nice parts of those lives. Ibsen wasn't really interested in creating something that had already been done before. When the verse in Per Gynt was panned by some critics as not being truly poetry, Ibsen responded hotly in a letter to a friend, "My book is poetry, and if it is not, then it shall be. The conception of poetry in our country, in Norway, shall be made to conform to my book." Later in the same letter he adds, "When things go beyond a certain point, I feel no respect for others. My enemies shall be made to feel that if I am not a builder, I am at least capable of destroying." And yet, it would be wrong to think of Ibsen as someone who was only interested in tearing things down. He was controversial, of that there is no doubt, but he was not a literary anarchist. He envisioned a kind of new school of drama that would focus not on the current Victorian ideals, but would instead challenge the status quo and push the boundaries of what drama could do. One of the most famous passages in Per Gynt takes place in the second act, when Per visits the home of the Troll King, who explains the troll's philosophy on life. "Out there, beneath the expanse of blue, the edict stands, to yourself be true. But in here we trolls will have none of that stuff. Our motto's, troll, to yourself be enough." It's hardly surprising that many critics read this as an admonishment of the drama of the time, especially coming from a writer who had declared his intention to completely change how drama was seen both in Norway and around the world. Ibsen's protagonists, from Per to Nora and everyone in between, are not melodramatic heroes. They are often deeply flawed, pursuing personal goals, and while their world is more limited in scope, it is often richer in detail. Ibsen's life story would take a much longer video than this to tell, but suffice to say it was full of contradictions and complexities. Ibsen would grow disenchanted with his native Norway, spending most of his prime playwriting years living abroad in both Italy and Germany, and yet he never really stopped writing about Norway. The vast majority of his plays are set there, and he seems interested in trying to accurately depict its people more so than those of any other country. His unflinching portrayals of real-life situations would indeed help start a movement in the world of drama, that of dramatic realism, and his plays would go on to influence some of the most famous playwrights of the late 19th and early 20th centuries, George Bernard Shaw, August Strindberg, and Anton Chekhov, to name a few. Today he is widely considered to be one of the most influential playwrights ever, second only to Shakespeare. His works have continued to be an inspiration for playwrights, including the famous American writers Eugene O'Neill and Arthur Miller. I hope this video has helped you learn something about both modern drama and about Ibsen. If you're interested in learning more, Ibsen's plays are all in the public record now, and can be accessed through resources like Project Gutenberg. If you'd like to learn more about Ibsen's style of writing and the founding of modern realism and drama, check out The Quintessence of Ibsenism, an essay by George Bernard Shaw which is also available for free online. Thanks for watching. Cheers.